Hello, and thank you for joining us here on the Neutral Zone. I am Phil Milani, joined as always by my trusty sidekick, my partner in crime. Really, the best way to describe this person is my everything. It's at Eric Delala.
Phil, great to be with you today.
It is. It's a nice, as we're recording this, a nice Wednesday afternoon.
It's true. December, got your typical Colorado weather, 70 degrees.
70 degrees.
Sunny.
I was going to say, where's your quarter zip?
It's too hot for a quarter zip.
Yeah. So you just went short sleeve.
Exactly. Went back to the polo.
It's like training camp.
Feels like summer, but we're back
like
in
camp.
the dog days of summer.
Eric, it has not snowed in Denver this year.
No, a couple little flurries last week.
No measurable snow.
No measurable. That's
What do you
true.
think about
No
that?
accumulation.
It's not good. Yeah.
That's,
Denver doesn't necessarily need the snow, but the mountains need snow, and
the mountains have to be blue.
yeah,
That's important
that is true. To be ready
to consume.
to be the proper temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. Eric, this is a pretty important show, if you ask me.
I'd say it's the biggest show of our careers.
Well, it's the biggest show of Justin Simmons' career.
That's true.
Of course, the Broncos getting set to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Eric, the winner of this game, it's on Sunday Night Football. The winner of the game, first place in the AFC West.
And home field advantage throughout the play. I think if the Broncos win, they just get the Lombardi. Is that right?
I don't think that's the case.
Oh, okay.
But it's just about as big a game as the Broncos have played in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think no doubt about it. It is the biggest game since Super Bowl 50. I mean,
I agree.
We talked about the Cowboys win. You talked about that Panthers win in 2016. Like, those were big wins after the fact. But the hype for this game.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, man.
Eric, to me, it's obviously being first in the division. But in addition to that, it's the Chiefs in Kansas City.
Yeah, there's something poetic, Phil, about
Chiefs
this
in
game.
Kansas City. Yep.
Like, you want the Broncos to get back to the mountaintop. You want them to get back to the playoffs. If you think back, I know, just kind of wander back to into yesteryear, where everything kind of went wrong was in 2016 in Denver against the Chiefs. Broncos blew a late lead, an overtime loss. For the most part, that is the win that knocked the Broncos from playoff contention.
That year?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, no, not technically, but yeah.
But it felt like that.
Felt like a
that
shift.
was a turning point. It was a shift.
It felt like a shift.
And since that time, the Broncos have not been back to the postseason. They have not been particularly close. Phil, we've argued a lot on this show. Do you need to beat the Chiefs, or can you, do you build to beat the Chiefs? Do you not build to beat the Chiefs? We argue about that all the time. Yep. There would be something poetic after everything shifted in that 2016 matchup. You kicked the dirt in that matchup.
That's true.
There would be something poetic about going to Kansas City, beating the Chiefs, and kind of
realigning.
Exactly. The stars have realigned, and you're back.
Eric, really, even 2015, those are two weird games against the Chiefs that year, too.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Bradley Roby scoop and score. But even the second game that year, which started this 11-game losing streak, Peyton Manning sets the all-time passing record in that game, but also happened to throw 5 interceptions and got benched.
Also, that happened.
So, and then of course, then he, we found out that he was injured, and then he missed a bunch of games there. But those were two weird games that year. So really, it's been a long time since this has been just like a normal, regular game.
Yeah. But I think that there's something like I would be happy if the Broncos say the Broncos had gone to first place by beating the Chargers this week.
That would have been nice.
That would have been nice. You're like, okay, I'll take first place however I can get it.
Yeah.
But there's something cool about the fact that we've talked for so long. The Chiefs are standing in your way. Justin Simmons said it on Wednesday. We know at some point to get to where the Broncos want to be, you got to go through the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's just kind of cool that it all aligns. That with a win over the Chiefs, the monkey's off your back. The streak is snapped. You've got first place in the division. Long way to go. Don't want to say that
There's
a win
still
over
5 games to go after.
Exactly. Don't want to say like anybody's anointed.
No.
But there would be, I think, some nice symmetry there.
Yeah. We'll get into a lot of that, Eric, because I think one thing that's important to talk about is just that the fact that it's been 11 games. Wondering how the team feels about that, because it sort of depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that a little bit. And I think you're right about a changing of the guard type of situation, because really it has been the Broncos and Chiefs in this division for the past decade.
Yeah, it has.
I mean, it's been the Broncos, and then it's been the Chiefs, and then that. I mean, these are the two teams in the division.
The last 10 division titles.
Yeah. So
who was the Chargers must have been before the Broncos. I don't quite remember.
I can't remember either.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
So
you were
long ago.
you were in elementary school.
Yeah, I think I maybe first or second grade.
Yeah, so that's too early for you to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's an important thing to talk about. 11 games in a row. Of course, not everybody's been around here for that, but like Justin Simmons.
He's been here for 10 of them.
10 of them. So
Brandon McManus has been here for all of them.
yeah. He's the only player, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
some coaches have been here for all of them.
Yeah. Have they?
Yeah. Bill Kollar.
Kollar, yeah.
Reggie Herring.
Herring, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that, just the sort of the mindset of the team going into this one. Then we'll talk a little bit about Pat Surtain II, Eric. Of course, he was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Year after 2 interceptions against the week. Sorry, did I say the year? I kind of blend in the Rookie of the Year.
Pat Surtain again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he likes to call him.
Yeah, PS2.
Yeah.
It's PS again.
Yeah.
Exactly. Defensive Player of the Week.
Yeah.
Going for a Defensive Rookie of the Year.
He's also, I think they announce a Rookie of the Month, right?
Oh, yeah, they do too.
He probably has a nice shot at that.
How do you think the Broncos should use him this week?
Very carefully.
Travis Kelce?
Offense?
Tyreek Hill?
Offense?
He got some questions about maybe playing special teams or offense.
I got some thoughts about that.
That's a little silly, I would say, Eric.
Should I tell my thoughts on that?
Go ahead.
I think it's offensive.
Offense, yeah. That's true. That is what we're talking about.
I don't think it's silly. I think it's rude. You've got guys like Cortland Sutton and Tim Patrick and Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. They've been training their whole lives to play at this level. And the suggestion that Pat Surtain can just step in and like all of a sudden do something crazy on offense, I think that's a little bit rude to those other guys.
Well, I think that the thought has popped up because we've seen like Deion Sanders, for example, in the past have a little bit of success. But even when Surtain was asked about it, he said, in high school I did a little bit of that, but it was really tipping our hands on offense.
And he also said it didn't work.
Yeah, so he said it didn't work in high school.
Yeah, I'm sure at the NFL level, he'd probably catch like 6 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, maybe.
Now, I'm more of a fan of you get down to the goal line.
Ooh, maybe you throw it to offensive lineman.
Well, sure, you can do
Get
that.
a defensive lineman.
Yeah, I like a defensive lineman in there at fullback.
You like that.
You know what I think about offensive linemen. In the best way, you get up there and you push.
You just push.
So like Vita Vea in Tampa as a fullback.
Yeah, dangerous. What about
which linebacker is taking on Vita Vea?
And I don't like to bring this up because it was offensive to me that Don Terry Poe throwing a touchdown. I don't like that. That kind of makes me upset.
Yeah,
that makes me upset.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about that, Eric. Maybe some bold predictions.
Yeah, I want to know. We talk about this all the time, Phil. Who do you hate more, the Chiefs or the Raiders?
The Chiefs.
Yeah,
it's not really close right now.
It hasn't, but it hasn't always been that way.
It has not, no, because I would say, like, definitely in the early '90s, the late '70s, during those times, it was definitely the Raiders.
I think even over the course of the last 5 years, Phil, as we've done this podcast. We haven't done it that long, but over the last 3 years or so that we've done this podcast.
We've done the podcast longer than that.
We've talked about this before, and I think there's been times when you've said the Raiders are the Broncos' biggest rival. There's just a I think we've gotten all the way there that
it's definitely the Chiefs
like
at this point.
The Chiefs.
Yeah, right now. Yeah.
Plus that stadium, you come down the press box elevator. For those of you who haven't been there, you come down the press box elevator. And when you're waiting to go to where the Broncos press conference room is, which is more just like a little closet that they've opened up for people to stand in.
It's a little bigger than that, but
not much bigger.
Okay.
And there's no doors. It's loud.
just open. Yeah.
Anyway, as you're waiting to get there, you have to wait for all the Chiefs to file in after the win, and they're hooting, they're hollering, and you just stand there and you just watch the joy.
We should mention that you've never beaten the
No,
Chiefs.
never.
Yeah. So
it's probably the biggest game of my career too.
Yeah, I would say early 90s, late 70s, it was the Raiders because they were really good. And oftentimes there were some cheap shots in some of those games that continued after the whistle. So there was some activity afterward.
Yeah. Michael Crabtree.
Well, people bring that up, but that was more of just a personal beef. Do you know what I mean? And I think they've resolved that.
Yeah.
So, but as a team, you really hated the Raiders at that time. But I would say that now it's definitely the Chiefs.
Phil, you don't like to get too far ahead, but if this team beats the Chiefs this weekend,
it could really propel the Broncos into a.
And just imagine like they might just start shooting off fireworks in Denver on Sunday night.
Oh yeah,
like people
light
are
some
jacked
sofas
up.
on fire.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
We flip some cars over.
Yeah, rush the field.
Oh yeah, you mean add in power?
Yeah, just if people show up, people are just running on the field.
I don't think that we should encourage that type of behavior.
I'm not encouraging it.
You just said it might
predicting
happen.
it.
Got it. So yeah, maybe some bold predictions, Eric.
I like it.
And then also we have a couple of voicemails and an email.
Ooh, AJ?
And I don't think AJ made the cut this week.
Oh, okay.
Ben Swanson.
Tough to. Yikes.
AJ was a little hyped up. He said that in one of his voicemails, I will just say that he said that Bridgewater's stiff arm of Joey Bosa, that was about Bridgewater going 70%, is what he said. Yeah, he said you don't want to see 100%.
I guess not.
And he said he's just going 70 on that.
Joey Bosa just has a habit of getting owned by Broncos quarterbacks.
Yeah, it has been tough. Eric, should we dive into it?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Okay, so let's get into our first topic here on the neutral zone, and that is 11 consecutive losses, Eric. Just wondering, let's put it this way, first of all. If you were a player on this team, how would you approach it? Is this just another game because that's how you approach everything? It's not about the opponent, it's about us, that type of mentality? Or do you say, no, I'm sick of this, and then you kind of take that kind of mentality where you say, this is personal?
I mean, this is a cop-out, but it really does depend who you are, right? Like I
think it does.
If you're Justin Simmons, you got to take this personally. You got to say, I'm the leader of the defense now. They traded away Von Miller. I'm the longest tenured guy here. I just signed a giant contract. Was the highest paid safety in the league.
He is the guy. There's no question about that.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
You got to, and you've never beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. You got to take that personally.
Oh, got it.
And I know that that might require you to put some more pressure on yourself. But if you're Justin Simmons, you got to embrace that. And he's actually always played well against the Chiefs.
He has.
He's picked off Mahomes a couple times.
Yes.
I think it was in 2020. No, 2019.
Snow game.
Snow game. He had a sliding interception in front of Tyreek Hill. Great play. His first career interception was against Alex Smith in Kansas City on Christmas night. I mean, he's played well, but he's got to embrace that pressure. He's got to take it personally. I think if you're a guy like Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, any of these guys that have been here for like 3 or 4 years and have lost consistently, we know last year Tim Patrick was asked about the Chiefs, and he's like, I don't want to talk about the Chiefs anymore.
Yeah.
And we're still talking about the Chiefs until the Broncos beat them. And so I think if you're one of those older guys, you gotta lean into that. Don't shy away from it. Just say, we gotta beat them, and I'm gonna take it personal until we do.
Yeah. And I sort of feel like, I mean, some people's personalities are different, right?
Yeah.
Like Teddy Bridgewater pretty much told the press that this could be a game against
Jacksonville.
That's always the go-to, right?
Yeah.
We just say Jacksonville, it doesn't matter. But just on a random
Houston.
On a random Sunday at an 11 o'clock kickoff that only the two markets for the game are watching it. He's viewing it the same way.
Yeah.
But that's more of Teddy's personality, right?
It's on in Denver, Baltimore, and Louisville, and those are the only places the game is on. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think some of that with Teddy is that's just who he is.
Yeah.
And I think as the quarterback too, if you get too fired up and you're everything, we got to win this game no matter what, and then you lose, I think it's tough to recover from that.
Oh, well.
I think if you're the quarterback,
it would be tough to recover from a loss here no matter what.
I mean, you got to go 4-2 down the stretch. I think it's unlikely that you do better than that, just based on what the team's record is so far. And so there's no way, like, you could lose to the Chiefs and then come back and beat the Lions and Bengals and still be fine.
Yeah, no, of course. But Eric, I would say this. Around here in the building, the vibe I'm starting to feel, I'm very observant.
Yep.
I'm starting to pick up on a little bit of a feel.
The cues.
That I feel like this team, and we even heard Vic Fangio say this on Monday, that this team is better than the teams that the Broncos have had the last several years.
I agree with that.
And I think that there's this feeling that, like, they're starting to pick up steam a little bit here. Like the oven's preheated. They're ready to start cooking, And I think that if they are able to beat the Chiefs, the confidence that would come after that, the buy-in to this is different.
Yep.
That could really be powerful for this Broncos team. And on the flip side of that, if they're not able to do it, there could be a little bit of doubt creeping back in that, like, yeah, we're better, but we still can't beat the Chiefs, and like there could be a little bit of that where, like, then all of a sudden you start thinking back to the bad losses this year and that kind of thing. It does really feel like this game could really dictate the feel around the building for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that to some extent. Like, if they win, it is going to be a huge confidence boost. I think that there's definitely a chance that if you win this weekend, you can win the division because you're going to be right in it and you have given yourself the confidence that we can beat this team. But I do think if you go out there and you lose, like, a close game, like it's a field goal,
really close,
or it's by a late touchdown or something, I think you're frustrated, but I think you say to yourself, we just hung in there with the team that's gone to the Super Bowl the last 2 years. We come home, we win a few games. They're coming to Denver later in the season. Let's get it back. Let's get them back. So I think there is a way that you can lose this game and still have some confidence. And I don't want to say it's a
no moral victory.
Well, right, but I do think that after how you've played against, like, the Ravens, the Raiders, the Steelers, like some of the good teams that you've played. I don't know if the Steelers are a good team, but the Ravens, like,
at that time they were. Like,
that was not a close game.
No.
And so to go up and play a contender really close, even if you were to lose, I think you'd still have buy-in, because if you're the Broncos, you'd say, well, we beat the Cowboys, we beat the Chargers, like, we just barely lost to the Chiefs. Let's beat a good Bengals team at home. Let's go on the road and beat a couple division opponents. Let's come home and beat, like, I think there'd still be the buy-in all the way to the end of the season. I think the win over the Chargers did that already, that, like, this team is going to be in the mix. I have a really hard time believing that Denver's going to just, like, win one of their next 5 games.
Yeah.
Like, that seems unlikely to me. Getting back to the other thing, we talked about all these guys taking it personally and Teddy kind of just being neutral. If you're a Pat Surtain and a Jerry Jeudy, a Draymond Jones, a Baron Browning, and
talking about players from winning college programs,
young guys that have not really dealt with the Chiefs the same way. I mean, some of those guys have had a couple losses, but it's not like they've not been here for the majority of the losses. You've come from big programs. You know how to beat teams. You know what it's like to get up for a big game. I mean, for Pat Surtain, this game is not going to feel anything close to a national title game.
Yeah, and like, he's knowing how to prepare for big moments.
And so I think if you're one of those guys, don't try to make it more than it is. Like, you can feed off some of the energy that, like, a Justin Simmons or a Cortland Sutton has, but I don't think you need to, like, unnecessarily lean into that. Just be like, hey, I'm a good football player. Because part of what you do when you bring in this new talent, this good talent, is you kind of, like, wipe away those teams that lost. Because a lot of the teams that lost to these Chiefs teams were not as good as this Broncos team.
Yeah.
And so you say, okay, well, hey, don't feel weighed down by the pressure of this streak, because we're a better team now. We got better players. And just go do what you do, and if you do that, you're talented enough that you can get a win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a healthy way to approach it. But, Eric, I will say 11 consecutive games, there's something weird about that, just because you think about the NFL and the parity all across the league. To be able to win 11 in a row against a team, that's pretty rare. That's sort of an odd. Just thinking back, like, gosh, the Broncos couldn't have just had a really good day or something, knocked them off once here or there or something. It just hasn't happened. I do think there's something psychological about that somehow you've got to just be able to. There's sort of like a get this monkey off my back feel about it now.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the issue is that some of the teams the Broncos have brought forward have just not been good enough. And so what happens is like you just get some games where it's just not competitive from the very beginning. And so it's not like you're playing like the Chargers and the Raiders. The Broncos have been about that same caliber of team.
Yeah.
And so like
the Chiefs have been
you might lose a couple, but you're likely to get one.
Yeah.
Like in 2017, there was one I think that just wasn't close. There in Kansas City.
Yeah. Turnovers really cost.
Exactly. In 2018, the game in Kansas City was like kind of close on the scoreboard, but not really in reality. 2019, the snow game, not close. The one here with Joe Flacco, not close. That Mahomes wasn't even in that. And so you look back and
fumble 6
and you say like, there's really only been like a handful of opportunities where the Broncos have been in it. There's been that 2016 game at home. There was the 2018 game at home with Case Keenum where he overthrew Demaryius Thomas. Mahomes escapes from Von Miller and throws it with his left hand. Like that was a great game. And if you win that one, then you're talking about
you're not really talking
the street. Yeah, you're like, oh, they won 4 or 5 in a row, which is still impressive, but it doesn't have the same gravitas that 11 does. And then you think back to last year in Arrowhead when you're leading near the end of the third quarter. I bet if you ask Vic Fangio, because the Broncos punted from the 47-yard line on 4th and 3.
Maybe this year you'd go for it.
I bet in retrospect he wishes he would have gone for that.
Eric, what do you think about the site? Maybe you're thinking, okay, forget about the 11 games. Let's just play the Chiefs. What about the psychological impact of playing the Chiefs because they're the Chiefs and the way that they play? Like even we heard Teddy Bridgewater on Wednesday say, you can't score 3 points against these guys. You got to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
There's, in addition to the 11-game losing streak, there is something about playing the Chiefs where you're like, we got to do something special here. Like we got to do more than just play our game. There is sort of an element of that too when you play Kansas City.
It's a concern, but something that's interested me, Phil, is that probably I would say the last 3 times that whenever you play a high-powered offense, the assumption is you got to go toe-to-toe with them. The last 3 times that the Broncos have played an offense that has scared me.
Cowboys, Chargers
this year, and the Chiefs last year in Arrowhead. The Broncos have done a pretty good job of slowing them down.
Yeah.
The Chargers scored 13 points. The Cowboys scored 16 points. They were shut out for 56 minutes. And then in Kansas City last year, they won. It was 22-16 Chiefs, and they didn't score until they didn't break 20 until late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that the answer to beating them is 35-31. I think if you get into that sort of shootout, you're probably in trouble because that's not how you're built. I think the way to beat this team is exactly what you did against the Chargers.
Yes.
You run the ball, you hold on to the ball, you play defense and make timely plays. Like the truth of the matter is the Chiefs are going to pick up first downs. They're going to move the ball. They're probably going to score. Can you keep them from scoring touchdowns really quickly, or can you get an interception that changes things?
Yeah.
Those are the sorts of things that stand out to me. And so I don't necessarily look at this game as we got to go out there and score 40 to beat them because that's not who this team is, and it's not really who they need to be.
No. And who's going to make more game-changing plays? It's going to be a couple of plays where it's it's 3rd and long. Can the Broncos stay on the field?
Yeah.
Or, hey, it's 3rd and long. Let's see if we can get the Chiefs off the field. There's going to be plays like that where you got to execute.
And we've seen that Vic Fangio's defense has done well against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
There's been at least 2 of the 4 games that they've played, and really the snow game in Denver a couple years ago, Vic Fangio he doesn't count that because of all the defensive touchdown, the special teams touchdown.
He said that one got out of hand.
But I would say that they still did a decent job on Mahomes. He didn't play particularly well.
Yeah.
I like it, and we talk about this all the time too. I like it when the Broncos' strength on defense goes up against a high-scoring offense, as opposed to if the Chiefs' offense was just kind of mediocre and you're playing a really good defense. I think the Broncos have struggled more in that scenario than when playing a really good offense. And this is what you hired Vic Fangio to do, to slow down the Chiefs. He's done it. I think you finally have I'm not guaranteeing a win or anything, but I think you finally have a team that is good enough on the offensive side of the ball to complement that defense. And listen, Teddy Bridgewater almost upset the Chiefs with the Panthers last year.
Yeah.
That was not a good Panthers team. Teddy said it today.
Almost did it.
They didn't force a punt until
Yeah.
midway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And so I think that speaks to what Teddy can do. He's played in big games. He's not going to make these mistakes and turn the ball over.
Yeah.
And I truly think that with Teddy under center last year in Kansas City, you win that football game.
Yeah.
And I think with him and the way the defense is playing, they got a great shot.
Because even in that game against Kansas City last year, there were a couple turnovers that.
Yeah, there was a interception on the first drive of the game where he just threw away points.
Yep.
And then with a minute and a half to go, you're trying to drive and Locke gets picked off and kind of ends any chance there. But
yeah.
And plus, Vic said this at the beginning of the year, when you believe that you can get a fourth down, you're more likely to go for it.
Yeah.
So maybe on 4th and 3, Vic didn't think last year we're going to get this at the 50.
Yeah.
I think the Broncos have been good on 4th down.
Yeah.
I just don't get why it's a 10-point, 11-point spread. That to me is very
I think it's probably
high.
just because the Chiefs have been playing
They've been good
recently. How many games in a row have they won? 4?
Yeah, I think so.
They've been. Their early season struggles seem to have been corrected.
Yeah. Well, and a big part of it, they moved Chris Jones back into the inside instead of where he was at defensive end.
Defense has been playing well, getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and it's led to some good success.
Yeah.
I think the key is for Teddy not to put the defense in bad positions.
And he hasn't done that
Yep.
all year, really.
But I have liked the mindset from Justin Simmons. He's taken this
I like
personally.
that.
He says that you got to go through the Chiefs to do this. I just sort of like the edge the Broncos have had this week.
Yeah, and like we said at the very beginning, there would be something very cool about the Broncos beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead, something they've only done 3 times
In the month
in
of December.
Yeah.
Name those quarterbacks.
Ugh. Okay, it's John Elway,
Yep.
Peyton,
Yep.
and I think Kyle Orton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2009, I believe.
Teddy Bridgewater could add his name to that list.
Yeah.
But it's not like each of them did it a couple times. They each did it one time.
Yeah.
And it does seem, I know it hasn't been this way necessarily. It's felt like definitely the last 2 years, maybe the last 3 years, it's felt like this team plays in Arrowhead in December.
Yeah, it's always late.
Like, can we not play in Arrowhead in September?
Exactly. They did that a couple of years ago with Keenum. They played early in.
Yeah, but that was like week 6 or 7.
Yeah. You want earlier.
Well,
You want like 2015.
I don't want
week 2.
snow.
Yeah. I think the forecast is supposed to be nice for Sunday night.
That's good.
That is good. That's a big deal. Eric, should we get on to topic number 2?
Yeah, I forgot what that was. but-
Pat Surtain.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about this Broncos defense. Pat Surtain coming off a 2-pick performance. Returned one of those for a touchdown.
Very nice.
Yeah.
First rookie
Very
to do
fast.
that since Marcus Peters in 2015.
2 interceptions and then 1 return for a touchdown.
Yeah, to have 2 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6.
Wow. That's impressive.
Marcus Peters is a pretty good player.
He is a very good player.
I think if Pat Surtain turned into Marcus Peters, you'd probably be pretty happy.
Yeah, I think Marcus Peters is the bigger thing with him, and the reason he's bounced around a little bit is maybe off the field.
Yeah.
Sort of things with him. But yeah,
Like at his best on the field,
pretty good.
that guy can play.
Yeah. Of course, a lot of people have been making the Champ Bailey comparisons. Let's not put those on to Pat just yet. You know that Champ was a first ballot Hall of Famer. Let's just maybe. The pick 6 looked very similar to Champ's pick 6 against the 49ers.
That our friend Ryan Green.
Did a nice job with that.
How does he find those so fast?
He did a nice job with that. Well, Champ did not have like a ton of pick 6s. So
Right,
like
but
if
in your
you
mind to be like, that looks like Champ's pick 6. That's impressive to me.
Yeah, it did look a lot.
He does that a lot, though. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
oh,
very good at that.
This looked like that play from 1982.
Yes, he's good at that stuff.
Impressive.
So maybe let's not throw these comparisons to Pat. Maybe Pat could just be Pat. You ever think about that in his own unique way?
I could think that. I buy into the hype, Phil.
I mean, I am enjoying the performance as a rookie.
Like, this is a little bit of a ridiculous statement, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay, get ready.
And part of this is just because the sample size is small, so you can still believe.
Buckle in.
But if you were to be like, which of these guys on this team is most likely to be a Hall of Famer,
Oh, you're going to put him in there.
I would say either Surtain or Judy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Just too young of a team. It's hard to.
Yeah. But like some of these guys you've seen playing out there, like not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think you could make the argument that Pat appears to be very special.
Yeah.
And that if you had to pick somebody, you would pick the guy who's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But he does seem to be special.
And I think Jerry Judy's special too.
Yeah, but Judy's success really depends on.
Yes. Well, Pat's success depends on people throwing him the ball.
That is true. Just like Judy's.
They both got to have success.
Yeah.
Throw him the ball, people.
Throw him the ball. Yeah.
I'm not saying they're going to the Hall of Fame. Because you got very confused
kinda,
early in the year when I said that Teddy Bridgewater could be in the MVP conversation if they beat Baltimore, and you took that as Teddy's the MVP. I'm saying, like you said, if you had to pick someone on this team who's most likely, he's very special.
Yeah. If he continues on this trajectory, the sky is the limit for him. He gets it. Sky's the limit for him.
Like for him to do...
You know what I would like from him to... where he
tackle.
needs some work?
Yeah, he's got to tackle.
No.
He's got to tackle.
At the podium.
He's got to tackle.
Well, yeah.
There was a play, one of the few bad plays against the Chargers.
He doesn't like contact, I don't think.
Mike Williams caught a pass for like a 5-yard gain and then pushed his way for a first down.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are we doing here?
Pat likes to do get a couple hands on him and then roll out of the way and like kind of throw him out of bounds.
Wow. So you're bashing the guy that just had 2 picks.
Well, I was saying the area that I'd like him to work on is at the podium.
Yeah.
As a media member.
He's gotten better.
I like a little bit more. I need a little bit more.
He's gotten better. He'll get better.
I want like a nice 15-second soundbite that I could use.
These Alabama guys.
Yeah,
they're not giving it to you.
Yeah. Apparently, same with the North Carolina guys too, because Javonte Williams, he keeps them pretty locked up too.
Exactly. Probably learned that from Ben Swanson.
Yeah, Ben Swanson, trying out for podcast supervisor on the side.
Javonte Williams and Ben Swanson,
they
kind of have like Javonte has like the Ben Swanson tone that he uses in like our digital meetings that we have to discuss the podcast. Like just really kind of
mellow.
Yeah.
I think that's one way you could
dry. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I just run hard and I score touchdowns.
Yeah.
Swanson.
He's like pretty much the same as last week. I just scored touchdowns.
Just scored touchdowns.
The thing that really impressed me about Surtain, not just his athleticism, not the play that he made, but the mental awareness on the first interception.
The baiting Justin Herbert into that throw.
I wanted a little bit more from him today when I asked him that question, but he essentially saw that Jared Cook was drifting into the end zone, knew he could catch up, and so he fell off so that Justin Herbert thinks that he has that throw. And then he's like, whoop, whoop.
And what Surtain said was that he knew that there's a limited amount of space in that area, so if you drop off,
he's not going anywhere.
The ball's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Except into his hands.
Exactly. That, to me, that's rare, I think, for a rookie to recognize that. And what I tried to ask him was, when are you making that decision? Like, are you making that in the split second? And he was like, well, I just baited him. I was like,
it comes natural to them. There's a lot of instinctual stuff with some of these guys where normal humans aren't doing that. Yeah. It's kind of like the DeMarcus where, the sack that he had against the 49ers?
I do.
Where he spun on Staley and then went back around and then tackled.
Brandon Staley.
Not Brandon Staley.
Oh, Joe Staley.
Yeah.
Brandon's cousin?
I think so. Kaepernick. And then I remember the next day I asked him, I was like, how did you do that? What did you recognize? Did you notice like maybe Staley's a little overly aggressive, so you were like, maybe I could try this? And he was like, no. I started to spin. I saw he was going that way, so then I was like, stop spinning and go back the other way. And I was like, things are moving that slowly.
Yeah.
For DeMarcus
That's with the Surtain. That's what I'm thinking. Like, he sees Jared Cook going in a split second. He's like, I can let him go and not get burnt. Because if you let him go and you get burnt, you look like a moron.
Yeah. But that's not going to happen.
But if he's like, okay, I can let him go, and then now I go. Like, it's just really impressive.
Well, he's going to have a heck of a test this week.
Yeah, and what do you do with him?
That's what I want to know. Because a lot of people thought, okay, Surtain's got this big size.
Yeah.
The Broncos had beefed up the secondary this offseason. Maybe there was some thought of putting him on Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
Because Travis Kelce has been a Broncos killer.
He's been he's so
an
good.
NFL
I mean, he's
killer.
a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's an NFL. Of course he is.
Like,
he's the best tight end in the game.
Yeah.
No question
him
about
or Kittle.
Yeah, Travis Kelce's the best tight end in the NFL. In my mind, there's.
Do you remember when George Kittle had 214 yards in one half against the Broncos?
You know what? Do you
remember that? Do you remember that or no?
I remember Kelce played Kittle in the Super Bowl, and I think I saw Kelce winning the Super Bowl. They played each other.
They were guarding each other.
Kelce.
Okay.
Oh,
that's not a valid argument.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just remember Kelce hoisting Lambeau.
Okay.
What do you do with Surtain, though?
So here's the options, basically. You put Surtain where he's been, and you leave him there.
He's been having success there.
Yeah. You can put Surtain on a guy like a Tyreek Hill and have him shadow him across the field.
Put on your track shoes.
World-class speed.
Yep.
Or you can have him cover Travis Kelce.
Yep.
I would go with the second option. I would have him shadow Tyreek Hill and just try to take him out of the game.
Oh.
I would live with some of the Travis Kelce 3rd and 5 completions. I'd live with some of that.
They're like the 3rd and 17, and he gets some crazy something.
He gets 17.1.
Yeah.
I know, it's going to hurt. But I think, one, Baron Browning has been very athletic.
He has been very good.
And he's shown decent skills in pass coverage. I think you could put him there and ask him to handle that, and he could do nobody is going to stop Travis Kelce completely.
No.
But I think the combination of Surtain on Tyreek Hill and Baron Browning or whoever on
Young.
Caden Stearns.
Like
if Kareem can come back and he can kind of play that dime safety role, he's been really good in coverage and I think has a good grasp of where to go. If you could have those guys kind of handle that, I think that would be better than the option of having Surtain on Kelce, who I think Surtain would do a good job, and then having to put somebody else out at corner. Because let's remember, Bryce Callahan is not going to play, it doesn't seem like.
Does not seem like that, no.
Could happen, but as we're recording this, Vic has given no indication that that's going to happen.
Yeah, what did he say? He said, like,
Probably.
no, but maybe.
Well, and that was about returning to practice.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing he's going to come back from IR and play this week.
I do, too.
And so you'd have to put Kyle Fuller over there and then put Nate Hairston or something at nickel. I think the idea of keeping Pat Surtain where he's been so good, and so my second choice would be just keeping him on the outside. Don't have him follow Tyreek Hill. But I do think if you could be a little creative, have him follow Tyreek Hill. Maybe he frustrates Tyreek Hill a little bit.
Because we've seen that happen this season where Tyreek
gets a little frustrated.
Yeah, and then he kind of hasn't had some big games.
And I think the great thing about Surtain is that I know you don't like his tackling ability, but he can be physical because he's still a big-bodied guy.
He can be.
And he's really fast.
Yeah.
And so it's not like Aqib Talib on like a T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Aqib Talib is fast, too, though.
Yeah, but at that point, didn't work very well.
It did not.
No.
I was going to say, do you think that you try to similarly do what the Broncos did to Justin Herbert last week?
Rush 4?
Just rush 4.
Yeah.
Have a lot more in coverage.
Absolutely.
Because Vic Fangio kind of talked about it on Wednesday that some of these guys, though, they'll take off. And Mahomes has shown the ability to create havoc with his legs a little bit.
I mean, you've got to understand that you're not going to shut them down completely. They're going to make plays. They're going to score.
I'll live with some Mahomes runs.
Right.
What you can't do is get beat over the top consistently with the Hill.
Right. Like Herbert scrambled for 36 yards, I think we said. Even if Mahomes goes for 50, even if he goes for 60,
it's not killing you.
You're not going to lose the game because of that.
No.
And what you will lose the game is if he's throwing bombs to Tyreek Hill or bombs to Travis Kelce and flipping the game in a second.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Because the other thing is that if the offense does, I don't expect the Broncos offense to score on every drive. And what you've got to avoid is those quick strikes where they score, you go 3 and out, they score again.
And then it's over.
And then it's done.
Yeah.
This game is really going to come down to, can the Broncos get an early lead? Because they've been good when they have played.
When they score early,
with a lead.
Yep.
They're built to do that. They're built to run the ball.
Yep.
They're built to play good defense, especially when teams have to become one-dimensional. But I think the Broncos defense has a good chance of matching up with this Kansas City offense.
I agree.
Hopefully Bradley Chubb takes a step forward. I mean, part of the reason why they rushed 4 so effectively is Bradley Chubb was getting double-teamed.
Yeah.
And so when you're able to, take him out of the equation and give your guys inside some one-on-ones.
Shelby comes back.
Yeah, I mean, that's important.
That is important. I do think that dropping more into coverage is a good way to make Mahomes make some of these throws, because he's going to try and force the ball a couple times. I think the opportunity for an interception is going to present itself, and let's see what happens. Let's line it up.
It's worth noting that last year when the Broncos held them to 22 and were in the game late, they were playing with a bunch of backup guys.
Yeah.
Like Sing Bassi was your starting nickel, and then he gets hurt.
Yeah.
There were guys across the defense that were not there.
Yeah.
And so, all things considered, this defense is relatively healthy. I mean, you obviously lost both your starting inside linebackers, but the guys that have replaced them have been doing a really good job.
Yeah.
And so, you look now at your starting defensive line. If Shelby Harris is able to come back, all three of those guys are playing. You've got Bradley Chubb back. You got two good inside linebackers. Your secondary is completely intact. I mean,
well, Bryce Callahan's that.
So almost completely intact. But that's why you have Fuller here.
Yep.
And so this is the defense you drew up.
Got to do it.
With probably, I think George Payton said when he first got here, when he signed some of these players, you cannot have enough good corners, especially in this division. Listen, they're healthy. Like you said, let's go. Let's see it.
Yeah, you got to do it. I'm looking forward to this one, Eric.
Yeah.
Should we do bold predictions?
Let's do it.
Some bold predictions? Okay. You got one maybe on the defensive side. We'll just continue that going.
On the defensive side of the football, I think Bradley Chubb has a forced fumble.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Of Mahomes or?
Yeah.
Oh,
of Mahomes.
Okay.
I think a strip sack.
Wow. Okay. I'll say Tyreek Hill does not have a touchdown.
Okay. I don't like you saying these things because you tend to be wrong.
And so do you.
Well, right, but if Bradley Chubb doesn't have a strip sack, it's not the end of the world. You're like,
but Tyreek can have one touchdown.
You're like, the Chiefs won't score 50 points.
You never know. Maybe this is the first time I'm right.
That's true. That could be a nice change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Offensively,
see, this is interesting. They're actually okay. I think there's a little bit of an advantage for the Broncos in the slot. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Jerry Jeudy posts a season high in receiving yards and scores a touchdown.
Okay. Season high. So, what are you thinking? It doesn't have to be a part of your prediction.
Let's say in
a hundy.
I think that's a little much, like maybe in the 80s.
Got it. 80s. 80 yards.
And a touchdown.
Okay.
Leading receiver.
Leading receiver. Okay. I was going to say, Cortland Sutton's been kind of quiet recently.
Yeah.
He's due.
He's due. Two receptions of 40 yards.
He's due. I don't know about that. Let's say Cortland Sutton, 2 touchdowns.
Wow. The Timmy toe taps.
Just like last year with Timmy.
Yeah.
Timmy 2 cleats in the end zone. On the fade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I say Cortland Sutton. I think he's going to have a nice –
Okay.
This is time for Cortland Sutton.
So I got Bradley Chubb strip sack and Jerry Jeudy leading receiver with a touchdown.
They did not like that.
They didn't like that. The podcast supervisors just shutting off the lights.
There we go. The lights are back on now. Did you pay the bill this week?
And then you said 2 touchdowns for Cortland Sutton and no touchdowns for Tyreek Hill. So
2.
Cortland will be the one going like this.
For 2 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to be running away from anybody.
I think we should just that celebration, Antoine Winfield, I think, in the Super Bowl, where he walks up and in Tyreek's face.
Amazing.
I loved that. People are like, that's class. No, I love that.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yes.
If I were a Bucks fan and I'd probably get that tattooed somewhere.
Yeah. No, it was well worth any kind of penalty or whatever.
Right on my chest.
Yeah. Maybe on your forehead.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Or maybe like on your hand, like you have the guy like on your hand. So when you put the 2, he's doing it too.
That could be cool.
That'd be cool.
I like those kind of tattoos. Where it's like kind of some movement.
Something.
Yeah. There's like a little movement.
Like a little mustache.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are nice. Okay, and then a score prediction, Eric. This is really
this is it. I think the Broncos are going to do it. So and this is not just Last week, a little bit just picked the Broncos because
No.
Because I was like, they need it. I think the Broncos are actually going to win this football game.
So
I'm going to say 23-20 Broncos.
23-20.
Yeah.
Low scoring.
Yeah.
Really?
23-20.
You think the Broncos could beat the Chiefs with 23 points?
Yeah, I absolutely do. They would have done it last year.
Okay. Yeah, by 1, right?
How many points you got to win by to win?
What? One more point than the
Yeah.
If you score just one more point than the
I think someone on the neutral zone said that on Monday. They said we got to score more points than them to win.
They did. Yeah,
that was
I don't
Timber?
know.
No.
Tim Knorr.
Tim Knorr.
Tim Knorr. Yeah. New to the
show.
NZ Nation. Yeah.
Shout out Tim Knorr.
I'm gonna say the Broncos score 30.
This is just a classic.
And then I think that the Chiefs, they're probably going to score about 27 points.
30-27.
Yeah.
Me 23-20.
Yeah.
I
really do think the Broncos are going to win.
I have a good feeling about
You
this.
do.
So
You're confident.
Which means we're going to get smacked.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, that would be really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
And sad.
I will say on Sunday against the Chargers, I woke up and I had a good feeling.
You did.
Yeah.
I did not.
So I woke up feeling dangerous. I want to see how I feel Sunday. When I wake up, I just got it.
I just get the sense that like the like combination of some of these older guys just being done with this.
Yeah.
And Teddy being here with the calmness and then the swagger of like a Pat Surtain and a Jerry Judy.
Yeah.
Those guys, they aren't scared of the Chiefs.
No.
They're like, we beat Georgia, we beat LSU, we beat Ohio State. Like, they're not afraid of them.
The same as
at that level,
Kansas
it is.
City Chiefs. Yeah.
At that level, it is.
Yeah.
They're like, those guys, they know they're good. They know they're good.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that you got that combination, all three of those things, the angry guys, the quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, and these young talented guys, that to me is like, Phil, Michigan beat Ohio State. If that can happen,
anything can happen.
Illinois beat Northwestern. If that can happen.
I was going to say, you've been famously on record of saying that Pat Surtain for Defensive Rookie of the Year needs to get some recognition.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football is a nice place to get some recognition.
It is. I mean, if he gets a pick, that would be tremendous.
Yes.
But I do. I mean, I strongly believe that if he were on TV as much as Micah Parsons, I'm not saying he would win over Micah Parsons because Micah Parsons is playing really, really well. But people would be like, this is a real competition.
Yes. I think if Surtain does something special on Sunday night.
Like I saw someone tweeted, Micah Parsons was basically handed this award before the season as soon as he went to Dallas. And that to me is true.
Well, he's played very well.
He has played well, but I think people went in thinking
he's got a unique ability to rush.
People went in thinking this is going to be the guy.
Well, Surtain could take it away.
He could.
You know what I like to say, Eric?
What's that?
Big time players make big time plays.
It's a good saying.
Big time games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
No more big times.
No.
I couldn't think of anything else. Yeah. Should we get to
got some voicemails?
Yeah. Should we get to the next part of the show? Hold on. Let me just pull up something here. Let me go into the archives. Ben Swanson always sending out stuff to me here. And he says no AJ this week. I don't know why. First let's start with an email. Okay. This comes from Kenneth Brown, who has emailed in a couple of times now, and we appreciate that. He says, hi, guys. I think most who are in Drew Lock's camp
Drew Lock question.
finally have seen what Fangio and Shermer saw when they made the decision to go with Teddy. When our defense plays to its capability, we just need a steady QB. Steady Teddy. Do you know what I mean? Who won't give it away, and that's not really what Drew Lock is what Kenneth says. He says high risk, high reward kind of a guy is Drew Lock. What do you think Drew's future is like in the NFL? What do you think? Pretty good question there from Kenneth.
Yeah.
And then I will say his last line is, thanks for your funny yet fair analysis of the Broncos.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Thank you, Kenneth.
I'll say the issue with the risk reward from Drew is that we haven't had the reward.
Ooh, that's nice.
You like that?
That's deep.
Yeah. Against Baltimore and against the Chargers, like it didn't exist. And so, you're then just left with the risk. And so I completely understand. I agree with you, Kenneth. This is why they went with Teddy Bridgewater. Drew's future in the NFL is really interesting. I don't know that he is going to have a chance to be a starter here in Denver anymore. I would be somewhat surprised at this point. I mean, anything is possible. You never know what could happen. But at this point, knowing what we know now, I have a hard time believing he's going to be a starter here. He has 1 year left on his rookie deal after this. Is a team interested in trading for him? Do the Broncos believe that they can get him to the point where he can be a high caliber backup and you can trust him a little bit more? Because right now it seems like they're figuring out, how do we even get Drew to be reliable to come in when he's needed? Mm-hmm. Or does he have to go somewhere and compete to just have that backup spot? I mean, I think those are all possibilities, and we'll have to see how things play out. But things change really quickly in the NFL. Paxton Lynch, for example, was drafted here in 2016. Wasn't really part of the quarterback competition in 2016, I would argue. It's kind of between Sanchez and Simeon. 2017, had a chance, lost the job.
Yep.
Had a couple chances in the season. Not that dissimilar to Drew right now. Obviously, Drew got a season worth of playing time beforehand, so you have a bigger evaluation. But then Paxton was off the roster before the season in 2018.
Yeah.
He only had 4 starts ever.
Yeah.
I mean, things change really. And then Paxton was out of the league.
Yes.
He went to the Steelers very briefly, maybe the Seahawks, then the Steelers. Like, it ended very quickly, and I don't suggest that the same thing's going to happen to Drew, but there's just no guarantees in this league. But right now, I would be surprised if Drew Lock is the long-term starter. It's possible if an injury happens, he could start a game. But I just don't see him as a long-term guy.
We've seen guys in the NFL before revive their careers in different settings.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that is possible for Drew. I'll say this. Going into the season after they named Teddy the starter, I felt like maybe Drew's perspective would have been, I know I'm going to get a chance here. It's rare for a quarterback to play the entire season, every single snap. I'm going to be ready for my opportunity. He's gotten his opportunities and has not made the most of them, which that's been surprising to me. I thought that Drew would have been really chomping at the bit for any kind of chance just to say, hey, I should have been the starter. Well, and I thought he was going to play like that. He just hasn't done that.
And the thing that's particularly surprising, and it didn't really happen against Baltimore, but it certainly happened in LA or against LA. In the preseason, Drew was so careful not to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Almost to his detriment at times. Like, I think it did prevent him from making big plays. But hey, he didn't turn the ball over. That's what they were asking him to do. They were asking him to be more careful. And then when he came in against the Chargers, it was almost like that was forgotten. Yeah. Like, if he had come in and just not turned the ball over, you would have left that game and said, hey, Drew led a touchdown drive.
Yep.
They got to the half of 14-0. Teddy came back in.
Did what he was supposed to do.
Did what he was supposed to do. That's what you need from your backup.
Yep.
And instead, the conversation is very different.
And I would say, like, when the backup comes into a game, there's sort of, in most situations, that backup doesn't have much playing experience. Yeah. And so you're like, oh, well, they can't do this, they can't do that. It's the backup is in there. Maybe we could rattle the backup. When Drew comes in, he should not be like that.
No.
He has a lot of experience. He should be able to go and execute.
Yep.
But rather, he came in and looked hesitant. He looked shaky, unsure of where to go with the ball, the interception, the fumble. That's been surprising to me. And I like Drew the kid.
Yeah.
And I hope that he has success, whatever happens to him. And we've seen guys go to new surroundings and be able to blossom.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Eric. I'm not sure if that opportunity is going to come to fruition here.
Yeah. And, I mean, who knows what the situation looks like next year. They could stick with Teddy. They could draft a quarterback.
Really
they
up in
could
there.
do a combination of those two. They could trade for a veteran. They could trade for someone kind of more middle tier. Like, there's all sorts of options.
Yes.
But I would put Drew being the starter pretty low on that list of options.
And I would say this is that the Broncos are playing a meaningful football game in December. A lot of that has to do with just a more competent quarterback play.
Yeah.
So
I mean, people didn't like this. I did this at the bye, Phil. I handed out some mid-season awards. People were not a fan that I named Teddy the most valuable player. And I did it right after the Eagles game when people were crushing him. But I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he's the most valuable player because
quarterback is that's the position.
Well, and the Broncos have not been in this position in 5 years, and now they are, and that's because Teddy has not turned the ball over. He's made timely plays, and so could Teddy be better? Of course, he would tell you that, but that doesn't mean he hasn't been a significant upgrade.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the biggest thing. He's been an upgrade at that position. Yes. Okay, here's a voicemail from earlier in the week from Bronco Batman.
Hey guys, this is Bronco Batman. Let me sum up everything that's happened and what's going to happen. Monday, I've never felt so great. Great Monday. And I'm not, in this Sunday, I've never felt this nervous. This coming up Sunday. It's the emotions, man. The emotions. Great win. Huge game coming up. I think if the Broncos stick with their running game, maybe do a little bit more play actions, but we definitely got to get the receivers more involved. But other than that, man, Teddy bounced back. Great win. Huge game coming up. But all that being said, let's go Broncos.
I'll say, a little disappointed not to get this is Bronco Batman.
Bronco Batman.
Sign out. I know we didn't get the sign out. But, do you think the Broncos need to get the ball to the receivers a little bit more? Yeah,
no, I think so. You got to mix it up. I would still rely on the run game, but you're going to have to make plays down the field to win this game. And I think they can do it. Phil, it's just fun to have a game like this.
Yeah, I'll say sometimes late in the season we've been like, okay, let's highlight some young guys. Let's find some interesting stories. No, we're talking about the game.
Yeah.
I like that. Here's one from our friend Brandon in Iowa.
What up, fellas? Brandon in Iowa, doing my post-game calling after a big Broncos dub. Man, what a game. I think I have a couple thoughts here quick. One is our running game looks spectacular, all things considered. And two, I've always been a big Drew Lock guy, but I think I'm starting to agree more with what Eric has been saying, that I think Teddy might just be the answer, especially this season, but maybe for the future. I guess we'll see how that pans out. But, man, I'm just excited for Teddy to come in and just battle that out and just gut it out. I could just about imagine how many voicemails AJ is going to have about that. So I'll be excited to hear his reaction on the podcast this week. But, man, what just an incredible win. It's really awesome to think that we'll be playing for first place in the division next week. I know I have a lot of Chiefs fans that are going to be stoked for that, and I know a lot of Charger fans that are a little upset about today, but, story of the day in the NFL, so go Broncos. Talk to you guys soon.
Story of the day, Eric.
It's true.
I do like Brandon from Iowa. He brings a lot of energy.
Optimism, too.
Yeah. And also, when you leave a voicemail, it's nice to go, I got 2 points. Number one, boom. Number two, boom.
Get into
succinct.
it.
You understand what's going on.
One
voicemail. It's nice.
Yeah.
I do like that from Brandon, Iowa.
Yeah.
Teddy, the guy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just thought about this. Obviously, everyone wants an upgrade next year.
What if they go to the playoffs?
Oh.
What if they win the division, Eric, and they go to the playoffs? What do? You can't make big changes after that.
It'd be really hard to, wouldn't it?
It would be.
It really
would be.
It'd be hard to.
Yeah. You do have to remember, though, that the Broncos made a change at quarterback after Tim Tebow.
Yeah. Teddy Bridgewater is much better than Tim Tebow.
I was going to say, that was a sort of a...
That's going to get some hate on the YouTube
comments.
That was
a very, very specific situation where you were throwing the ball for like 20 yards a game. But then Peyton Manning was available. So, that's a very specific situation.
So I think you have to, if some of these veterans, whether it's in the Pacific Northwest or the upper Midwest, maybe they want a change of scenery. I think you got to consider it.
Yep.
But here's what I would worry about is, say, like San Francisco wants to move on to Trey Lance, and they're like, oh, we want to deal Jimmy G, and you get enamored with Jimmy G. Well, what happens if he comes here and then is not as good as Teddy was, or he turns the ball over, or he gets injured, and all of a sudden, as you've tried to upgrade, you've actually made the team worse at that position. I would be a little bit worried about that, especially if, like you mentioned, you go to the playoffs, maybe you get maybe you get a win.
Yeah, I think that if you move on to a different veteran, it's got to be
a big name.
Yeah, it's got to be a solid. It's got to be without a doubt. This guy's gonna be good.
Yeah.
If you go with the rookie route, you got to have a little bit of room there. But
yeah, I think so.
So, if you'd like to leave a voicemail here and have it be played on the Neutral Zone, you can call 707 Neutral.
That's right.
And it just gives a beep, and then you go to town.
That's right.
One voicemail is nice.
One voicemail is really nice.
Eric, what if you want to be more like Kenneth Brown? How do you do that?
Send an email to neutralzoneshow@gmail.com. Leave it there.
Yep.
We'll read it.
We'll read it.
If it's nice, we'll put it on the air. If it's not nice, we send it to Ben Swanson.
Yeah, exactly. He has to filter a lot.
Yeah.
If you want to get into contact with us directly, at Eric Dalala with an A on Twitter, at Phil Milani with a PH, non-traditional spellings.
Right.
Or just leave a comment on YouTube. Eric.
That's right. And smash that subscribe.
Smash the subscribe. We'll be live on the Broncos YouTube page on Monday, breaking down whatever the heck happens in this game.
Big dub.
6 to 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
Exactly.
Coming to you live from Breckenridge Brewery's farmhouse.
Trying to make it a farm home.
More of a farm home.
More of a farm home situation.
Yeah. Somebody on YouTube did mention that's like where the animals just run free, is at the farm home.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a comment about us. I didn't really.
Yeah, that's not nice.
Yeah, I didn't know how to.
Was it Tim Nor?
I didn't. Not. It was not.
Okay.
No. But if you live in the Denver area, come out. It's in Littleton, off of Santa Fe and Brewery Lane. So come out. It's a lot of fun.
Yep.
And if the Broncos win,
oh man,
the parking lot's going to be full. Make sure you get there early.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of a rock.
George Stoya, he's going to do a keg stand or something.
Yeah. Is he okay after the Oklahoma
know.
stuff?
I don't know.
Sure. I'm not sure. So, any shout-outs? Of course, Liz Gerald's.
Liz Gerald's, the Broncos this week, My Cause, My Cleats. I think 61 players wearing highlighting their causes on their cleats.
Yep.
Some executives as well: Vic Fangio, George Payton, Brittany Bolin, Joe Ellis,
John Elway, I think.
John Elway. I got a sneak peek at some of those. Those are very cool. John Elway's are awesome.
He's got a lot of stuff.
They're awesome.
So,
yeah.
He is just cool.
Shout out to
Duke.
that.
Does it say the Duke on the side?
I can't confirm.
Okay, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, shout out to Liz Gerald's. Doing some great work in the community. Justin Simmons even mentioned his.
It's true. Always appreciated.
Cool. Yeah, most definitely. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. For Eric Dalala, I am Phil Milani. You've been listening to
The Neutral Zone.